After spending an incredible 30 days in Bali, we are finally here to share with you everything that you need to know to help you plan your first trip there. So whether you're visiting for 5 days or whether you plan on staying a couple months, we have everything that you need to know to make the most of your experience and to help you navigate the island.
So keep watching because we're gonna share where to stay, what to do, and some things you might want to skip to make the most of your time in Bali.
Bali has everything that you could want in a destination because it caters to every type of traveler. So whether you're looking for a more budget-friendly experience or you're looking for a more luxurious one, Bali has you in that regard. And not to mention, almost everybody speaks English there, so it's very easy to navigate.
So let's get into it. If you're coming to Bali, you're coming here to enjoy yourself and have a great time. In the description, we're going to have our full playlist where we go into detail, breaking down everything that we did, but let's go over some of the great activities that you can do here. Now, I don't think a trip to Bali would be complete without visiting their world famous rice terraces. We visited the Tegalalang Rice Terrace, which is just a short drive away from Ubud, and it was beautiful. Now, once you get there, there are a bunch of cafes overlooking the terraces, and you can admire the view from up there, but we would recommend going down so that you can admire the view from up close. Now, some of the options for cafes are Tis Cafe, which we visited. There's also Kritia Ubud, which is another very popular option, and there are even more beyond that. Yeah, but just make sure you go there so that you can see these world famous and these beautiful terraces for yourself. You won't regret it.
So for my adventurers, I would highly recommend doing the Mount Batur trek, but if you don't feel like hiking, you can also take a Jeep up the mountain like we did. We didn't have to wake up as early. We got up around 4:30. But once you get up there, you'll see absolutely why it's so worth it. There's panoramic views all around. You can take pictures and videos and just be in nature and enjoy the scenery. They also give you breakfast as well. It's something light. It's just like a boiled egg and some toast. Like it's nothing crazy, but you're there to see the sunrise. And after the sunrise is up, they take you to this place to check out the black lava. And that's really cool as well. You get to fly your drone there. And basically you're just looking at the past eruptions, and Mount Batur is still active. It hasn't erupted in 24 years. So yeah, it's just, it's a really cool place to check out. We also recommend visiting the beaches in Bali. The beaches that we went to, you can't necessarily swim at, but they're definitely still worth checking out because the views are just breathtaking. The first one we would recommend is called Kalinking Beach. This one is very well known because a lot of people go to this specific spot to take this famous Instagram picture. And we did the same because I want my shot. But I highly recommend hiking down to Kalinking Beach if you are physically capable, because it's not an easy trek down. But I regret not doing it because we saw the views from up top. I can only imagine what it's like there on the actual beach. So if you can do it, do it. The other two that we recommend are called Billabong, Angel's Billabong, and Broken Beach. And these two beaches are very close by. They're within walking distance to each other, and they're definitely worth checking out as well. You can take nice pictures there. You can't swim there because the tide can get very rough at some points, but it's still worth seeing.
And depending on where you are staying on the island, there are plenty of other beaches, more traditional beaches that you can swim in. We stayed in Sanur for the majority of our trip, and along the touristy areas where there's strips of hotels, there's a long strip of beach. It's a beautiful beach that you can swim in. You can do jet skis, you name it, you'll have a great time. Now, if you're looking for a more off the beaten path experience, then you're going to want to visit Bali's many waterfalls. So some of the ones that we visited were Banyumala waterfalls and Leke Leke waterfalls, and they were beautiful. They're perfect if you want a refreshing little swim, especially since the Bali heat can get up there. And of course, you can take your photos and your videos.
Yeah, my favorite out of the three that we visited was Banyumala Waterfalls. It was just beautiful. Just get there super early so you can be one of the first people there and you could just enjoy it by yourself. It actually poured down raining while we were there, and it was just still the best experience ever. So we highly recommend visiting one if you can. The best time to visit Bali is during the dry season, which is from April to October. So you can expect to have tropical weather, nice and hot, sunny. But if you want to avoid the crowds and the overpopulation, we would recommend going in May, June, or September, because during this time you can get the best of both worlds because the weather is still really nice, but it's not super crowded. We visited back in March and it was at the tail end of rainy season, but the weather was still nice. We didn't have that many rain showers, and if it rained, it was only for a couple minutes and the sun would come right back out. It was like 90 degrees almost every day.
So like we were touching on earlier, Bali caters to a wide range of traveling styles. There is literally something for every budget, from 5-star hotels, Airbnbs, hostels, villas, you name it, they have something for you. We spent the majority of our time at hotels, but we also did book a week stay at an Airbnb also. So Bali isn't a very big island, so where you stay isn't super duper important, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend staying in Canggu or Seminyak due to the heavier amounts of traffic and congestion there. I would say it would be better to stay in Ubud or Sanur because you're closer to the middle of the island, and that way you're going to be within 1 to 2 hours of pretty much any day trip possibility that you might be thinking of.
So start looking for places now because there's a lot of beautiful options to choose from.
So the best way to get around Bali is by using Grab or Gojek. That's essentially Southeast Asia's version of Uber, and you could use those apps to book rides to virtually anywhere on the island. We used it for about 95% of our transportation needs, from our rides to and from the airport, for our day trips, and just our everyday rides going to different beaches and things like that.
On the app, you'll be able to select a car or a motorbike. So if you're not comfortable with riding on the back of a motorbike, you have that option. We did a mix of both depending on how far we were going, but just keep in mind if you do select a car, that traffic can be really heavy and it just might take you even longer to get to where you're trying to get to. For further day trips, you might have trouble getting back to your accommodation. So in those cases, we would recommend hiring a driver. We had a really great one, so we will leave his WhatsApp information in the description if you're looking for a reliable driver. He took us to all of our waterfalls, these really long day trips. He brought us back to our accommodation. He took photos and videos of us while we were there, and it was just a really great experience. We were just lucky to meet him.
So the apps that you're going to be using for your transportation are Grab and Gojek, and you want to have both of them downloaded because when we were comparing pricing, we were finding that Gojek was oftentimes a little bit cheaper, but Grab was just a little bit more reliable with how fast the drivers arrived. So it's good to have both of them.
Another app that I would recommend downloading for your trip to Bali would be WhatsApp. Literally everybody uses it here to communicate and to organize different services like massages, hair appointments, dinner reservations, everything. So it's just useful to have on your phone. Another app that I've been using more recently has been Google Maps, but the offline maps on Google Maps. How many times can I say maps? This is really good to have, especially if your service is not that strong. So you'll be able to have access to your map or in a specific location, whether you have service or not. So it's just good to have in cases of emergency, if you need to navigate different places and you don't have service. So keep that one on there.
The last app that we're going to recommend is a currency app. You're going to want to have one. If you have iOS 18, the calculator app now has a convert feature that you'll be able to use to convert currencies. If you don't have iOS 18 or if you're using an Android or whatever the case is, you can just download another currency app from your Google Play Store and use that, because although Bali is affordable, you don't want to end up getting ripped off because you don't know how much something costs on the fly.
The local currency in Bali is the Indonesian rupiah, and you will need cash for sure if you plan on shopping at any of the local vendors because not all places accept cards. We withdrew from ATMs whenever we needed cash, and the ATM transaction fee was around 4 to 6 USD. We have a checking account that we use specifically for travel to get cash because it reimburses our transaction fees back to us at the end of the month, and we love that for us. So definitely have that handy when you travel.
If we're providing value and giving you some helpful tips to help you plan your trip to Bali, please drop us a like for that YouTube algorithm. But let's make sure you can actually get into Bali. Luckily, they made it pretty easy to go about the visa process, and it's pretty straightforward to go about getting one. Depending on your nationality, you will need a visa on arrival, and if you're from the US like us, you will for sure need one. So depending on how long you are planning to stay is going to dictate exactly which visa you'll end up needing. For most travelers, the visa that's going to be most applicable is going to be the one that lasts for 30 days. That visa costs $35, but it can be extended if you need longer, or if you know for a fact that you're going to be staying for longer than that, you can just pick one of the other visas, and they have visas that even go up to a year to 2 years. There's also now a Bali tourist tax. It's $10 per person. We paid it, but then when we got to the airport, I realized nobody ever checked for it, but I would recommend it's affordable. I would recommend just paying it because who knows if they're going to start enforcing it, and you don't want to get your trip ruined, them asking for it, and you don't have it. Ain't nobody got time for that, no. So yeah.
So now my favorite part to talk about, what to pack. Bali is a tropical climate, so you can expect it to be very hot and humid. So just expect to pack very light, breathable, quick drying clothing. Just think like dresses, t-shirts, tank tops, shorts, that kind of thing. A good pair of walking sneakers will definitely come in handy. A nice pair of versatile sandals that can go with anything. I would also pack some leggings or something to keep you warm, a nice hoodie if you plan on hiking because it can get very chilly in the morning. Bali is predominantly Hindu, so if you plan on visiting any of the temples, make sure you're modest because they will not let you in if you are not appropriately covered. So ladies, you probably have to have your hair covered, no arms out. Even the same thing for men, you're not going to be able to show your legs or anything, so keep yourself covered.
But luckily at most of the temples, there'll be an option or some place where you could buy the appropriate clothing to make sure you don't run into any issues.
Yes. Don't forget to pack sunscreen because it is very expensive in Bali for whatever reason. You just want to make sure you have your own, as well as mosquito repellent because those mosquitoes tore us up during those hikes. So make sure you have that as well. If you do forget anything, Bali is a well-developed country, so if you have to stop anywhere to pick up something that you forgot, even clothes, they have so many cute things that you may want to buy, so don't fill up your suitcase. You may want to go shopping, but if you forget any of the essentials, don't worry, you will be able to find it there. It also wouldn't hurt to pack an umbrella or rain jacket because the weather can be a little unpredictable. And Bali belly is a real thing. I actually experienced it while I was there, and it was terrible. So I'm glad that I have diarrhea medication on hand and some activated charcoal because that came in clutch. Didn't it, babe?
I wouldn't know. I didn't have to use it. I just made sure to take care of her while she was over there suffering.
Whew, terrible. But if you are traveling, I always recommend having a couple things with you, like an Aleve or Pepto-Bismol, something that you're familiar with, because there's nothing worse than being sick and then having to go out and find what you need. So come prepared. Ladies, please bring your own sanitary products because tampons are just very hard to find. Like, I don't know. They don't do tampons here like that. So bring your own sanitary products. Wherever you go, stick to drinking bottled water. You don't even want to brush your teeth, rinse your mouth out, do anything with the tap water besides shower, obviously. Keep your mouth closed when you're in the shower because you can get sick. So yeah. Also, I would recommend carrying one of these, a reusable water bottle, so you can fill that up when you're out and about because it's hot and you want to stay hydrated. Also, be mindful if you are shopping for lotions and shampoo, not shampoos, but body washes and things like that. They do include whitening things in their in their products to like lighten their skin, like bleaches to lighten their skin. Stay away from that stuff. It's not good for you anyway. So just be mindful to look for lightening or whitening on whatever product, skincare product you're buying.
So when you come to visit Bali, you're definitely going to need a travel adapter. Bali uses type C and type F. We've been traveling around with our universal travel adapter. We have visited, I think, 11 or 12 different countries in the last couple of months. We've been able to use it everywhere and it works great. We'll leave our affiliate link in the description. Obviously, we would get compensated if you do decide to use it. And if you do, we thank you in advance. But it is something that we genuinely do use. We wouldn't recommend it if it wasn't a product that we couldn't stand behind. And if that humidity got you sweating and you need to do some laundry, Bali is definitely a great place because they have so many different laundry services. You could drop your clothes off. They will drop it off to your accommodation, whether it's your hotel, your Airbnb, and it's very affordable to do so. It's like $1 or $2 per kilo, usually maybe even a little bit less. So for $3 to $5, they'll be able to take care of all of your laundry needs. No sweat. This brings us to my favorite part. I'm a person that travels for food, and Bali did very well. They season and spice their food up amazing. I would recommend trying nasi goreng, that's fried rice, their chicken satay. I just love the way that they do their food. There's so much to choose from. There's great fish on the island as well too. You will not be disappointed eating in Bali. Also, they do a very good job of catering to a wide selection of eaters. So whether you are vegan, they will have something for you. There's so many different kinds of cuisine that you can find, even beyond traditional Balinese food. So if you're a foodie, you're definitely going to want to come here.
So tipping is optional in Bali. The service fee is already included in your bill, but it is appreciated if you add a couple bucks, if you appreciated the service, if the service was good. So it's not, offensive if you do decide to tip.
So just as an honest recommendation, we are not sponsored. You probably should get travel insurance, especially if you're coming to visit Bali. More than likely, you're going to be on the back of a motorbike. Things happen. You're going to want to be protected and covered. We'll leave a link in the description. Our friend Choose to Explore, they have a link with Safety Wing. You can sign up with them just to make sure, worst case scenario, you won't have anything to worry about.
Right.
While we never really want to think about these things, it is something that you want to be aware of. While there hasn't been anything in the last, I think, almost 20 years or even more, there are active volcanoes in Bali. There are risk of earthquakes. So you just want to be aware of that. And you definitely want to be aware of the emergency numbers. Can you touch on that for us?
Yeah, it's actually shocking to me the amount of people that don't know the emergency numbers of the countries that they're visiting, because 9 times out of 10, it is not what is used in your home country. So just brush up on that, have it handy, put it in your notes, because you don't want to be in an emergency, God forbid, and you don't
trying
know
to call
who to
911.
Yeah.
It ain't gonna do you not an ounce of good. Some countries, it is kind of like a necessity to make sure to get like an eSIM or a Wi-Fi adapter or something. But honestly, in Bali, there's a Wi-Fi pretty much everywhere, whether at your hotel, your Airbnb, whether you go out to the cafes. So it's not a super big deal if you don't get one. But if you are looking for an eSIM or something to use just to make sure you don't have any connection issues, I would recommend Airlo. I've been rocking with them for about 1.5 years. I have used their eSIMs in at least 7 to 8 countries, and they work great, very easy to set up. We'll leave the link in the description for that as well.
So even though we travel as a couple majority of the time, I felt safe as a woman. Like I was very comfortable going places by myself without Levon. Nobody's bothering me. I took a motorbike like literally an hour away at night and I was perfectly fine. There are some countries that I would never ever do that in, and he wouldn't let me do that in either. So that just goes to show that Bali is a very safe country. Just always practice caution, be aware of your surroundings. Don't be on your phone looking down all the time. Like just have common sense, you know?
Keep your common sense common.
That's what I say, and you'll be fine.
That's just a good segue into the people of Bali. They are some of the kindest people that I have ever met and encountered globally. We met so many great people, had so many great conversations. One of the experiences that really stuck out to me, we were getting a grab ride to a restaurant and I was paying cash, and I had a large bill, and the driver would not accept the bill. I was like, don't even worry about it. You can keep the change. He absolutely refused to accept it. So we got a free ride to the restaurant. Like he because he didn't have the change, he just wasn't about it. So it just goes to show they're really great people. And that is just another reason why you're going to want to visit Bali.
Yes. Another thing to keep in mind, because Balinese people are super friendly, if they realize that you're a tourist, they're most likely going to ask you, like, where are you going? How long are you staying? How's your time been here? Just asking all of these questions. And we're from New York. Like, when people are questioning us like that, we automatically want to put our guard up because, like, it's none of your business kind of thing, respectfully. But honestly, Balinese people are just doing it because they want to make sure you're having a great time in their country. They want to offer you recommendations and things to do. So don't take it offensively if they're asking you questions. That's something that I had to get used to while I was there. But I would just exercise caution if I was a solo traveler. I just wouldn't answer questions like that, honestly, to be honest, because you know, you just want to be careful. So just be aware of that.
So just to keep it real with you guys, because we are always going to prioritize that for you. In terms of things to skip, you could probably skip Nusa Penida. Even though we visited and it is beautiful, going to see Clinking Beach, Broken Beach and everything like we were discussing earlier, it absolutely is one of the most beautiful things we've seen in the world. But it's definitely one of those things where it's an Instagram versus reality kind of thing. There is a ton of tourists that line up to be able to see these places. You could be waiting 30 minutes to an hour to be able to get your pictures, and it just may or may not be worth it. Especially one thing I would recommend that would kind of make that experience better is if you spent a day or two on Nusa Penida versus trying to go for a day trip, because then your day is hectic. You're gonna have to get up super early, and even getting up earlier and getting there, you're not necessarily going to be able to beat all the crowd. So that's something that I think you could potentially skip, but if you plan it right, it's worth seeing and getting that view.
Bali combines everything you can possibly want from a destination, regardless of what traveler you are, whether you're a solo traveler, backpacker, couple travel, or family. It's definitely a beautiful place to visit. And that's all we have for you guys today. If you found this guide helpful, make sure to give us a thumbs up so it can help the algorithm and reach other people that might need it as well. And don't forget to check out the description for all the information that we talked about today. A lot of useful things will be in there for you guys. And thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe because we have a bunch of content coming up. A bunch of tips like this are going to be in the future. So make sure you don't miss out. Thank you guys so much for watching.
We'll catch you in the next one.
Bye. Did we do it?
We did it.
It's done?